All right, I am Music That Rides, and today's video, I'm going to do some of the backroads riding and stuff like that we do, and I'm going to do a commentary on how I tend to ride. This is my 5th season riding, and we got a Ninja 300 right here, and my wife, she rides a Ninja 250. Her name's Shannon, by the way. For you guys that kind of noticed our first video, I just broke it off really quick, and well, you know, that was our first video, but hopefully this video will be actually a little bit more useful for you when it comes to, you know, maybe you're an urban rider or a city rider and you don't know what to expect when it comes to riding in the hills. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you some of the basics of handling that sort of situation, how to approach it. And, you know, it's not always pedal to the metal. It's not always cornering that line. In fact, I see a lot of riders do some very deadly things in the back roads out here, and you know, and then you hear sirens, and that happened just last week. So a rider already went down in my area, and my area has, again, some of the craziest roads in the state of California, and I'm going to try and show you some of the stuff that keep me alive, keep my wife alive, and for us to continue riding and enjoying bike riding rather than having a problem. And it's not a guarantee. Again, I'm not an instructor. I just do my things, and I'll show you some of the habits that I have when it comes to riding in the back road. So, other than that, let's go in and check it out. Wait, no. Okay. Hit the subscribe button. Do it. It's over there, or over here, or somewhere down there. And then there's the share button, and the share button's right here, okay? And, you know, help me out, man. I have a brand new channel. And I'm going to be releasing videos about 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week videos and stuff about some of the adventures and stories that, you know, me and Shannon go through when it comes to riding. And please, do it. Just, why? Why do me like that? I'm kidding. All right, let's get inside and I'll show you some of the stuff that I came across today. Or at least I'm just going to walk through some of the stuff that I did today. And explain why, piece by piece.
Look, I was tired of being afraid all the time, not knowing why, sleepless, waking up terrified. I was tired of living in the past in fear. I had to change. Now I know, no matter how much I do change, I am left with me.
And here I'm taking a little bit off the board by, you know, tucking in a little bit onto the right near the white line, of course. So, yeah, that's important. It's really kind of important to do. And again, these are not high-speed videos. This is just, you know, one of our rides. I'm going to be doing these probably fairly often, by the way. So, you know, just see how it goes. See how the shadows go. I'm looking down at the road. I'm constantly looking around, always looking around. See how my head just kind of swivels? This is important stuff, you know, to see if there's a car backing out. You know, maybe a husband got pissed off or a wife got pissed off and threw the car in reverse and decided they're going to peel out of their parking lot. You know what I mean? You never know. So, you know, you always kind of keep your head on a swivel on any kind of turnout that you see on the left and right. And a lot of back roads do kind of have, you know, these sort of things. This is, you know, you'll see. So we're cruising. There's not much more to go on here. I'm a little bit more at the middle of the road. This is one of the little stops that I made. I just wanted to make sure Shannon was okay and everything like that, because this is a new run for her. So, you know, this is a newer little run for her, and I have her following me just at a slow speed and stuff like that. So no big deal here. And the reason why I pulled out here, and this is actually a sweet spot to turn out in. See how I'm pointing over here? So there's another little thing here, right? So, I mean, if you decide that you're going to, like, you know, turn around or whatever like that, you know, these are kind of good spots to sort of do that. Even though you'd be going across a double yellow line, if you're, you know, just learning, again, you know, just doing a U-turn here could be dangerous. But, you know, if you look both ways and everything like that, at least you can get your bike across, orient your bike, and then you can just kind of zoom down back the other way that you came. You know, so these are sort of a little bonus thing right here. And you'll see the road See, I got lots of vision. There's lots of vision between what's over on my left and what's on my right. So, I was just pointing out to her that this is an ideal spot to turn around and look out for. If you're like cruising and you just want to turn around on a back road or something, this is like a real optimal situation when it comes to turning the bike around. Again, it's not technical stuff. These are just basic things that, kept me alive as I try and point out some of the stuff for you guys. All right, so we're going to continue on. And again, I'm hugging the white line. It's very essential that you pay attention to some of this stuff. Now, one thing that kind of does concern me about forest areas, of course, is always squirrels, deers, turkeys, those sort of things. So if you have a full view, this is a pretty safe thing, and cruising down the middle is okay, or on the left, and if you want to hang out, well, see, the thing is too, is when you're cruising on this side, if you're cruising over on the right, you're allowing basically any other riders that are behind you that might be along to come by and pass you at any time. You're giving them a lot of room, and it's important to give a lot of room over on, this white line area. So that's another reason why I kind of like move along the white line. But you'll notice other times I drift to the left. There's reasons why you drift to the left, drift to the right, and maybe a little bit in the middle, depending if your middle is okay. So we'll just continue here. But yeah, you'll notice that my head's always on a swivel looking around. And as a backroad rider, you have to be, very alert, because, in the shadows of that deer, sometimes, and plenty of motorcyclists in my area have hit deers, and it's not a pretty scene. Most of the time the bike goes down if you hit a deer. I'll tell you a story really. Well, I have kicked a deer away from my bike at one point riding in a back road. Literally kicking a deer. I wish I actually got that on video. But it wanted to run alongside of me. And I'll tell you guys something that's very interesting about deer, just as a side note, okay? Because deers are killers. And sometimes, you think a typical deer, when you're engaged in an accident, darts out in front of your motorcycle. They do. Other times, the strangest thing happens. They start trying to run alongside your motorcycle, and deceleration is, essential and stuff like that. But I was literally trying to kick a deer away from me. Eventually, on the second kick, it got the idea and bolted off the other way. So, yeah, fun story. Okay, so we're approaching another area. This is kind of a straightaway sort of thingy here. Not a big deal, but this is like her first run down this road. So, but notice where I'm at. Look at how I'm just kind of, almost on the wide, but, almost on the middle. Ooh, see, there's pits right here. Look at the road on the side there. And that's another thing about country roads too, or back roads. A lot of the time, strangely enough, the middle of the road has all the cracks. Okay, sometimes you want to pay attention to the road though. And what I mean by that is like you got a lot of cracks on this side, a little bit cleaner over here. Then you're going to switch over to the cleaner area just in case, because where there's cracks, there's potholes. They don't fill them all the time. And see, there's a good one right there. And let me back up just a hair smidgen. See that? So you got a series of little pits in here, everything in here. And maybe I'm being a little bit too eccentric about like the pits and everything in the roads. But these are important things. I'm telling you, they're very important. You never know though, And another piece of advice I'll give to anybody that's going down a road that you're unsure of and you don't know it, okay, don't bullet it the first time you'd run it. If you're in unfamiliar territory, take your first few runs on that road, like chill. You know what I mean? Chill, scope out the land, and then as you do that area or practice that area, then you can try and get a little bit more sportier, and even more excessive in your adventurous riding. But again, back roads, everybody ride your own ride. That's all I'm saying. Look at those pits in that hole. Oh my God. The roads out here, just see, now I have moved towards the middle. And it's not just because, you know, whatever. It's just because I noticed that both the left and right of me are kind of munched out a little bit. So, you know, I'm going easier on my tire. I'm hitting less gravel this way down the middle of the road. You know, subtle things you just got to pay attention to. Now, see here, here's another approach here. You can't see downrange. Well, no, you can see downrange pretty darn good here. You know, so I mean, this is a straightaway. A lot of people gun it right through here. And you know what? I have gunned it through here. But generally, you know, again, if it's your first time in an area, you gotta know. So here you go. We're just cruising. There's nothing really here to see too much of. And yeah, eventually just turn around. At the end of this part right here, I just wanted to kind of go through this little corner right here. Okay, I guess I'll stop it right here. Okay, see how it bends, right? It's bending, and there's definitely a curve in the road. Luckily, this is not on an incline or a decline, but it's still, you know, a thing. And I see a lot of like rider videos and speedboy videos on YouTube and stuff, and they haul ass on corners like this, hugging that yellow line or something. You know, again, look at where I'm at on the road. See, I'm pointing it out. I'm like kind of a little bit on the left. I mean, a little bit on near the white, but not too much on the white, but just cruising it right along. Some would say this is maybe the middle of the road, but yeah, it is what it'd be. And then up ahead's just a nice little casual stop. Oh, I'm so glad they redid the road over here. They just repatched this road. I love repatched roads. So anyways, this is a little decline. It's no big deal. Anybody can go down a decline. Not a big deal at all. Positioning wise and everything else. So yeah, whatever. Let's go a little bit more forward here. And this is the slope back. Yeah, okay. Again, straightforward. Going up. I wanted to get to the next corner here really quick. A little too far. See, okay, this is an interesting spot of the road. So, this is an incline where the road is actually curving and sloping down. It's not a big deal per se, but you know, you got a 30-mile-per-hour thingy right here. And the 30-mile-per-hour thing is not what worries me in this scenario, especially if you're going at a higher speed. See, I'm going 31, fair speed. I'm going the speed limit. Okay, but on these corners here, other cars, again, take this corner really, really fast. I've seen deer here crossing the road on this corner, so, you know, I'm always very careful. And the interesting happens when you going on an incline or a decline and a bend at the same time, you know, can be very, very nerve-wracking. Not nerve-wracking, but disorienting. And that's the thing that's also, you know, when it comes to curvy road riding, you know, or back roads riding is you know, it's easy to, you know, to lose gravity on your bike or gain gravity on your bike. So whether it's an incline or a decline on how you're going, it definitely affects your traction on the road at higher speeds. So I'm going really easy here at any rate. I got the Shannon cruising behind me. Again, hugging the white road right along here. And there we go. So it's not a big deal, but it can be a big deal if you approach corners like that. And, you know, 30 miles per hour on that thing there is kind of a joke because I've done it faster. But nonetheless, okay, so yeah, just a little left turn here. And I think we've done this road here before. I'm going to skip just a little bit forward. This section here is another thing that happens in back roads. Okay, just really quick. Up ahead is more or less a straightaway. It's a single private road, and it's very narrow. And other cars are oncoming in this road constantly, so you'll notice the double yellow line disappears. Okay, so when that double line disappears, like on a back road, that basically means you're probably not going to have two lanes. All right, that's important to notice, you know, and you come across it a lot in back roads. So you'll lose your double lane. So you got oncoming vehicles coming through here, sometimes, and you know, you don't want it to be a distraction, but you take it easy and you go slow. I'm going around potholes and everything like that, and I have some nice vision uprange, which is really, really, really good. Let's go. Yeah, no, there's a little curve up here. I want to show you guys something here too that's kind of fun. You know, so again, this is a sloped road going down, and you know, you could pay attention to what's up over here, right? You can see around this bend here just a little bit, but coming up on coming out of that corner, you know. But what I'm saying is there's an incline. You know, you're on a decline right here, so your bike is accelerating. Now, I'm not sure if this is something that maybe other riders do, but a lot of the time, because on downhill slopes and stuff, it's kind of hard to with the gearing on your bike. You know, you can do the engine braking, of course, and stuff like that, and keep your clutch out, but it seems a little bit harder on the bike and keeping it revved. You know, so sometimes on inclines like this and moving at a, you know, relatively slow speed, I'll hold my clutch in, you know, and go for a little bit of coasting. And what you do is you release the clutch slowly and make sure that you're in the proper gear based on your speed. So once you reach down at the bottom, you do your rev match. Clutching in is not generally a good practice, but at slow speeds and everything like that, and on a decline, it just seems harder on the engine to me. You know, if somebody wants to go ahead and try and correct me on this, feel free to drop in a comment about that. But this is just like one of my habits where I'll actually I'll keep my clutch in on and off a little bit depending on my speed and stuff, and use that to actually, you know, adjust my speed a little bit. I'm also feathering a little bit on the front brake. I'm using the rear brake. And backwards riding, generally speaking, you're using both your brakes constantly. You're using your rear brake where you want to or when you want to, and your front brake, you know, where it's necessary and stuff like that. And, you know, again, that comes to the weight of your bike, your acceleration, all the things really kind of come into a kind of a calculus. You just don't use your rear brake because you can, and you don't just use your front brake because you can. You know what I mean? There's just certain situations where, you know, you're going to get used to as a rider using your front and rear brake. But if anybody got some tips about going down steep hills, rolling with the clutch in, and then also using it to rev match or adjust speed, feel free to fill me in on that a little bit if you want. But this is just how I kind of do it. I keep my clutch in, sometimes on declines, just to spare the engine. You know, generally I'm not going to be accelerating down hills. Some people do, but that just means you need to use more braking power as you get out of that hill, and it's very easy to miscalculate your speed, especially on a downhill on a corner that you're not able to see around. So this is just like one of my habits that I do when it comes to, you know, the way I do the things. So I'll coast a little bit on the clutch and I'll let it out, rev match it, and then, you know, pull on sometimes when I do you know, these little roads. This is a really, really slow corner. There's no big deal here at all. Up ahead, there's another thingy. How much are we running at here already? Okay, cool. We probably going to cut this video up anyways. So I'm approaching this little area here. And again, you know, it comes down to knowing the area that you're in. I know what's next on this corner. Okay, and this is kind of a freaky corner. Watch this. It's kind of a fun corner. You can go faster. I'm just going really slow here. Okay, and it's a slight bend right into an incline. These are very, very common out here, and this is the easiest, one of the easiest ones. But you know, see here, so you end up going in a decline down and continuing on. But see the decline? Now you'll see, you know, some of my clutch is in and out on this because I'm using a little bit of engine braking. I'm using my front brake just to control the descent down the hill. And that's the number one issue when it comes to, you know, riding back roads is if you're not familiar with how heavy your bike is and how inclines and declines affect your ride, it's something to really consider, especially your first few times. So see, this one comes down on a decline, and look and as soon as you come out of the decline, it's a corner. You know, these are fun roads to ride, but you'll notice too, this is important that happens also. Check this out. The road is really cracky. You know what I mean? So we're looking at almost a 90. Kitty, you're going to get squirted. Well, just a minute. Squirt time. Okay, so anyways, yeah, so it's very easy to miscalculate corners and on hills and on back roads corners. Let's look at the situation on this road. Look at the road. The road is literal trash. So, you know, again, if you're coming down this and you're going in excessive speed, this is going to be a calculus that you won't be able to predict otherwise. So we'll continue, and yeah, we'll just continue on over on this one. And let's see here. We end up going here. Yes. Yes. And this is us returning. Okay, so here's the incline. Going up the... It's not a high incline, but, you know, we're coming back the other way again. And, again, gear selection, feeling the torque in your bike is important in sections like this. You know, you know where your torque point is on your bike and what gear it should be in, what your speed is. You know, to feel an incline or a decline, it's important. And again, we're on like low CC bikes. Hers is a 250, mine's a 300. So you're constantly having and forced to, you know, run around gears quite a bit. So anyways, I think we'll just go ahead and wrap this video up like right here, because I'm running up on, oh my gosh, and I got to edit this down to 22, or at least, I don't know. I don't know how much I'm going to do actually here. Nonetheless, hey, thank you for watching, and I appreciate you watching my video. This is a different sort of format, and I'm just trying something a little bit different where, you know, I just kind of go through one-throughs as I teach my wife, Shannon, to ride her bike, and go through back roads and every day. This is what we do, you know, practice our riding, looking out for new things, pretty much almost every day. So, you know, do what you can when it comes to subscribe and to follow. And if, you know, if you're so inclined, share this to a new rider, because this video is really for new riders, particularly. I mean, if you're a backroads demon, you know, then you probably saw nothing new here. But if you're a city boy or a city kid or an urban rider or a traditional street rider, you know, these are areas where it's a lot of fun to ride. But with that lot of fun comes also a lot of caution. All road conditions have different sort of hazards to be concerned about when you're riding.
All right. I guess you're ready for the big streets now. I think you know everything about going in the back roads. I hope you guys enjoyed the format of this video. Got something out of it. And please, you know, leave me a comment, give me a like, do that sort of thing for me, because it's so freaking important. Like algorithms, motorcycle content, haters, everything. Hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment down below too. You know, maybe the music was too loud on it, and we're just kind of working with the format a little bit. So help me out a little bit. Let me know. Leave something down, and if you think this content can save a life, God forbid, or even take a life, because don't get cocky out there. Share the video. Peace out until the next one.